Welcome to the regular meeting in person of the Recreation and Parks Commission. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, thank you. Monse, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kelly Watson. Commissioner Watson is absent. Commissioner Julie Stolnick.
Present.
Commissioner Dave Lube.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Lee Davis.
Present.
And Chairperson Bob Moda.
I am here. Thank you. Public communications tonight? Seeing no one?
I actually have one that was emailed.
Please.
It says, "Hi board, I have a monthly or yearly pass now for 29 years. Now they do not have them. This was brought up at various meetings for Top Golf to come to El Segundo. I am a senior and I am on a limited income. This will keep me active by being able to walk the golf course Monday through Friday and hit the white ball. We even asked that they kept a 4-par, but that was given up also. Please have this brought up at the meeting. Thank you, Robert." I don't know, Egers or Ergers? I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. And if I could get a copy of that, that would be great. And we'll close public communications and move to the consent calendar. Approval of the minutes of the Recreation and Parks Commission Commission meeting of March 16th, 2022.
Recommend approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
We don't have to do voice votes anymore. Great, that's 4-0. Okay, and right now, instead of unfinished business, we are going to have Elias come up and he needs to do his report.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Rec and Park Commission. I'm going to start by simply saying what I've got to say in executive, if you would, and summary of what I've got, and I'd be more than happy to answer questions. So in a very summary nutshell, basically, we had a consulting firm to look at these heaters, and I met with him a couple of times, and we also recruited and brought in a very high caliber maintenance person, a very reputable one. And I was there myself in all the meetings, and it appears from the report and indications that I was out there talking to the very reputable repair gentleman. It appears that there could be a design flaw with respect to the size of the heaters. And as such, we concluded that this is not a simple repair, that a new design and installation is in order, and our consulting is going to final his report after we provided our input, and we'll submit that in a few days. But we came to this conclusion a few weeks ago, based on the report that we received, a preliminary, if you would, version of it. We conveyed the message to the Wiseburn Unified School District, Mr. Silver, and I believe he is in touch with his staff. So when there's a design-related issue, it becomes complicated, particularly in this case where the design had to be approved by the state. So the state has an office, Office of Architect is responsible to make sure anything in public schools are in compliance with the code. The city has no jurisdiction. They go through the state by law. So the law, the office of the state architect through communication with Wiseburn Unified School District. They reviewed and they approved those plans. So any change would have to go through them as well. So this is not a simple repair. It would take a new design that would have to be coordinated with the state and then planned for construction. We estimated cost is about $500,000 at this time. Frankly, the heaters, according to the report, they are less than half of what they should be in terms of capacity. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
If you don't mind, Chair, John Jones, Interim Community Services Director, a little bit of an add-on to that. I know that the city manager, Mr. Darrell George, reported to the council last night that he's in constant contact with Mr. Silver, trying to find a way to expedite this remedy as soon as possible. Clearly, this is not in the city's ballpark. It's the school district is the one that has to lead this because it's on their property, and it's they're the ones that approve design and the build of that facility. So he's working with the school district, the Wiseburn School District, to try to expedite this as quickly as possible. He'll provide more information as we get more information. But I think maybe because your constituents out in the community might be asking you as commissioners what's happening, and I think it's really important that we'll have some signage going up at the facility that will accurately state the facts for the community so they can understand what's going on.
Dave, I think you have a question? Go ahead.
I have a couple questions. First of all, was the architect hired by Wiseburn?
I believe, I wasn't here, but I believe that that is the case because as John, and thank you for your remarks, this project was within the school district property, and as such, the responsibility fell on their shoulder for hiring and coordination of the design with the state. The state wouldn't even talk to us. I did talk to the engineer who was here, and she told me that for the slightest question, that the state would not respond, would wanted us to go through school district. So you're right, I believe so.
And then the follow-up to that is typically the engineer who would have made this error would have been hired by the architect. Was that engineer invited to that walkthrough? Because although I understand that owners, when they sign on architectural plans, take responsibility, and ultimately
Right.
you'd have trouble going after that architect and engineer, I
Right.
get it. But if the engineer who actually did it was on site when that inspection was done, they might have had a reason why they thought that? I mean, is that being explored as a piece of the
So
problem?
answer to your first question, they were not, because when I met with both the engineer as well as the lead reputable maintenance outfit, we still were investigating. So no, that engineer was not invited. Although the preliminary copy of the preliminary report was provided to the school district, and they do have a copy of it, which I believe they have passed it on to the architect. In cases like this, it would not surprise me if they would simply say that that is not the case. And they simply may very well say, you know, our design was flawless, and they are entitled to do that. But
It sounds like Wiseburn is going to take the lead on this, and that
They
the
have
city of
to.
El Segundo will take a back seat.
They
So
have
really,
to.
these comments are more for
Yes.
Wiseburn than they are for. Okay,
That's right.
I'm good.
But what we're going to do is we're going to be providing our support. We are here to help. And the message that was conveyed by our city manager to Mr. Silvers that we could help in any form or fashion, anytime. And I personally would commit that I'll do my utmost to get this fixed as expeditiously as possible.
I would hope that Wiseburn would have that same notion that I just had a minute ago, but maybe you would maybe be wise to pass that on to them. Really should be their first step.
They know that. They
Okay,
know that. I did talk to our city manager not too long ago, and he reconveyed the message to them. And basically, he pretty much got the input from him that the architect believes that their design was good, as I had expected. So we'll just have to see how this is going to be evolved.
So, Elias, so ultimately, who's on the hook for the financial part of it?
That's a good question. There is a use agreement that was executed between the city and the Weisburn School Unified School District, and that based on that use agreement, there's supposed to be a committee of 6, 3 from school, 3 from the city, and they would decide all of this. Ultimately, we're just going to have to cooperate, but frankly, since this is not a repair, the repair and maintenance is clearly the city's responsibility under that maintenance. But there is the money set aside every quarter for that. So we have already some money set, but ultimately, it is going to have to be the school that would have to come up with the money. That doesn't mean we're not going to help. We can help, but ultimately, since this is not a maintenance issue, is really a design and construction that would have to really be taken care of and spearheaded by the school. By the way, in the report, not only the design was found to be not very accurate, but they also found other items, like one of the heaters were not of titanium. The titanium wasn't specified, and other things. I'm not the mechanical engineer, but there were a circulation that needed to be there, so you would put treated water so it would avoid corrosion, and that was not in the design, and consequently the water that circulated and got into the coil was causing corrosion, and that water, is hard water. That means we have calcium in our water. So there were other factors, but the main one was the size of the heater.
Okay, and then the other thing is, when you brought up that, so it's mainly mechanical failure and not maintenance failure on our part, correct?
Correct. So basically, you have 2 heaters that are severely undersized, and they try to heat up this big volume of water, and sometimes they talk to one another, and sometimes both of them come on at the same time, and it's supposed not to. There should be one heater working at each given time, but there were times that both of them had to keep up with this, and they finally gave up. In other words, it was a steady failure. I mean, it was something that started last year. I do remember a few phone calls, but the winter was short last year, so it was a steady. It was getting really stressed that was put on these heaters. Gradually, it really got to a point where they gave up, along with the corrosion that was created.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for that report. Okay, we'll go back to, there is no unfinished business tonight, and new business, draft bylaws. The recommendation is to review and approval. Anyone have?
I'll recommend we approve the bylaws.
I'd like to second it. I think that's a good idea. I think they were done fantastic. Staff, you're amazing. And it worked out well. So there is a motion, there's a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 That's 4-0. Thank you, staff. Erisea.
No.
Thank you.
Teamwork,
Yes,
but thank
exactly.
you.
Okay, we have bylaws now. No, nothing
Well,
changes.
let me clarify that for you, Commissioner.
Go-
The bylaws now will go as a collection of bylaws then to the city council for final approval.
And
So
then they'll final-
Then you'll have bylaws.
Then we'll have bylaws.
There you go.
Thank you. I was just trying to push it through. Number 2 in new business, pickleball tournament update. This is a receive and file, so who's doing that update?
I am.
Good.
Good evening, Commissioners. So last night, Council approved the contract for the tournament for pickleball, which will be scheduled June 23rd through June 26th. It will take up a lot of rec park, mostly the tennis courts and the pickleball courts, as well as the lawn bowling area and the paddle ball courts. So there will be a lot of activity. Sorry, Dave. There will be a lot of activity during that time, but all good fun. Hopefully to see some of you competing in that tournament, but I don't know yet. We have a lot of details to iron out still. The contract still needs to be executed, and we still need to work through all of the fine details, the parking, the any kind of food that may be out there. So more to come. We will continue to keep you updated. Any questions?
I'm not seeing any questions, so thank you for that.
Of course.
Number 3, Youth Aquatic Groups Success Criteria. This is another receive and file.
Is this thing on? Well, I feel better up here.
John, I have a question. Oh, excuse me, one second. I have a question. Do we need to have a motion to receive and file, or is it just automatic on that?
Receive and file.
I think you can just receive and file
Yeah.
because it's not, I mean, the action is receive and file. You can do it either way. It doesn't really matter.
We're going to receive and file it. Thank you.
So as promised, I said that Linnea and I will come back in April and give you a short snapshot of the diving into excellence, the aquatic success criteria that we did. This was their first one, so I think we're going to get the training wheels off now, and maybe the second one will come in a little bit faster. Just to show you a short timeline of how this came to be, I'm going to use Julie's direction with these new glasses I have. Wow. Staff was directed to develop the success criteria back in 2018. After many meetings, thank you, Lee, thank you, Kelly, who's not here tonight, and the groups, we met a lot to come to establish the criteria, and that happened in 2019. In 2022, we finally received our first group from the youth groups, and we were able to see how they fared a little bit. I'm going to give you some quick highlights of each group and let you know what they're doing well. You can also see their scores as we go through this presentation. Keep clicking. A quick overview of what they are actually graded on or score points on would be their timely submission of the success criteria, as well as their profit and nonprofit status, making sure that they have their paperwork in where Linnea and I can see whether they're profit or nonprofit. Required documents on file, that would be your insurance, any other necessary documents. Citizenship, how are they behaving? You know, you would think everyone could come in and behave nicely. That doesn't always happen. Fiscal responsibility, are they paying their bills on time? Space utilization, is there one person in the lane, or are they actually putting many people in the lane to use the space well? Measurable success, this would be whether they won awards or maybe some of their participants are doing really well and winning a lot of their tournaments or their swim competitions. Thank you. And then also the customer satisfaction. We actually put out a survey to see how their customers were actually liking their groups. And those surveys came back to Linnea, and she was able to read the remarks. Coach certification, have they gone above and beyond to get extra certifications? Quarterly report, we do ask for a quarterly report to see what they're doing every quarter. Are you succeeding? Are you still being successful? Are you bringing more El Segundo residents in? We'd like to know that information. And El Segundo resident participation, of course, that scores high. We have a point system, and out of that, 42 points are possible with 5 bonus points to get you to 47 points. So our first ranking team was Alpha Aquatics. Their participants are successfully competing. They had 75 survey responses with a 93.6% approval rating. They have high resident participations, and their payments are made on time. Beach Cities came in second. They too have participants successfully competing. You're going so fast, I'm like, wow. 2001 survey responses with a 91.2% approval rating, has a need-based scholarship program, and payments are made on time. Thank you. Trojan Water Polo came up with 35 points. Successful competition and high academic achievements among their players. 149 survey responses with a 91.3% approval rating from their participants. Provides 50% discount to El Segundo and Wiseburn athletes. And payments are made on time as well. And then we have South Bay United Water Polo with 31 points. Participating in Junior Olympics, players participating in USA Water Polo Olympic Development Program. 16 surveys completed with an 83.3% approval rating. Adaptive Water Polo Program. So this is how they ranked, if that gives you a quick snapshot. Next. In hindsight, what we've learned is we need to request a total number of participants to a total number of residents. So we understand just how much we're working with El Segundo residents and their total number of people in their program. Require a total number of survey responses. We did, after the fact, it was like, they turned in how many, and then you see the range. It was just from 140 to 16. So we have a required number now, and a closer follow-up with groups to debrief. We really need to meet with some of the teams, one in particular, and we hope to do that sooner after we review the survey. So that's it. Next slide. Any questions?
Go ahead, Lee.
How many total residents did we get in the variety of those groups?
Lee, I will have to look at that. Do you have that number?
That's a very important number.
We can pull that number for you. Okay. We'll have to look at all the
And my second question was, I assume that we made higher total requests, a little bit higher, since I saw our fourth place team only had 16 respondents.
Yes, we did.
Out of how many?
Out of how many
team
responses?
Members?
How many team members is?
Thank you.
Okay.
Dave, anything? Go ahead.
And am I true in saying that fourth place team is the one team that gets a 60% discount on their time in that facility?
They do.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Dave.
I forget if the criteria, if there's a number that starts, a total number that starts to get concerning or leads to a potential, you may lose your permit for the pool, or like, is there any?
So with the success criteria, we did not attach it to time yet. We are starting to look at that as a dictator of how much time you will get in the pool. We're going to have that conversation, Linnea, actually, we're going to have that conversation with John and see how we move into the future with that.
Do you have groups in the queue if a team were to have a score of 10 or, is not doing the things that you need them to do? Do you have other groups that are waiting to get in the pool?
I would probably not suggest that, but we have teams in the pool already that need more time. So we would be able to give them more time.
You could still fill the time with your current other groups?
Correct.
Awesome. Thanks. That should be a motivator.
Yes.
For these groups that need to comply.
Definitely. And as far as the score, where it gets concerning, I think that's another discussion point, and that was now in hindsight, we should be concerned when they get to a certain point level. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thanks, Dave. Good.
I did have one question. Seeing the point system and everything that you listed, team number 4 also did not have the criteria of meeting payments on time. And if they're getting a 60% discount, you would think they would be paying on time. So that's going to be addressed as well.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move to reports of Aquatic Subcommittee. I think,
There's no meeting. We're taking a little hiatus while we're waiting for some heating.
okay. Yeah, well, if you know Lee, it's not too soon. It's Transportation Subcommittee. I don't see, has there been anything that, no, okay, thank you. Youth Sports Council,
We have not met since the last
Okay.
report.
thank you. Staff reports, Aracia Hester.
I feel like I'm talking all evening. Yes, of course. Would you like to talk? Okay. Just a few announcements. Elderfest is coming on 5/21 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., so please try to attend. We will send out a reminder so that you know and you don't forget. Also, Hometown Fair, I should have said that first, it's May 7th, and it will run from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. But my most important announcement this evening is to introduce Valeria this evening, and I will have her come up to the mic to give you a little introduction. She's absolutely been great for our department, like a light you walk into every day, and she's been very helpful, and she's learning very quickly, so I will let you have the floor.
Hello, it's really good to meet you guys. My name is Valeria. I previously was working at California State University in Long Beach, and before that I worked at UC San Diego and UC Riverside. So this is my first time this side of town, and I'm just really excited to be here, and I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm learning a lot.
Good. Nice,
Welcome.
Welcome and nice to meet you.
Thank you. It's good to meet you all.
What's your position?
So I'm a senior administrative specialist, which is, I hear everybody say,
Jackie
I'm
Day.
the new Jackie Day.
Oh, you're Jackie Day. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Someday someone will be the new Valeria.
Yeah.
See?
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Aracia, anything more?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. No, I don't have any more announcements.
Any questions for Aracia? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to talk about tonight? Because the meeting's been about you, so.
It always is.
We're having fun. We're in person.
No, I'm very glad we're in person now.
I'm so glad. So good. Thank you. Christopher Henson, Parks Maintenance Superintendent.
All right. Got to remember how to use this thing. You have my report. It's fairly short, but we're busy these days with a lot of maintenance items, and the ball fields are in full swing, and the weather's been good. Could have used a little more rain this year, but we'll take what we get, and I'll take any questions.
Anyone? Thank you very much. How easy was that, huh? Okay. Director reports. John Jones.
Why, thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate it. Thank you, Aracia, for a very stimulating report that you provided us tonight. And yes, we always try to make this, give Aracia a lot of opportunity to show and showcase her professionalism. So I have a few things. I've been here now working for you all for 6 weeks, and it's been a very eventful 6 weeks. I've mentioned to you already at our last meeting my history, so I won't go over that again. But I did want to mention that I went to the first special event that I attended was the Easter egg hunt last Saturday, and I was just delighted to see the community come out. It was really a fun experience. You know, in the other communities in Torrance and Hermosa that I worked at before, they had to people had to drive in. But in El Segundo, they all walked in. So the park was light, and then it grew and grew. And before too long, we have hundreds, if not a couple thousand kids doing Easter egg hunt. And staff, Aracia's team, Ryan Delgado and teammates did a superior job. They had full control of the staff members. They did an excellent job in presenting this opportunity for our community. And I was delighted to see they chose to do the young ones in different areas at kind of a shotgun approach. So they get them set and they say, go. And I wish I had, and I mentioned this to staff, a drone that could have watched that from above, because I would love to capture that at some point to just see the explosion of kids to all these colored Easter eggs. And then they had the older kids thereafter. And it was really a great event, and I'm very proud to be part of that. So what little bit I was able to produce. And I also wanted to bring to your attention that in my 6 weeks, there has been a lot of opportunities for me to share some thoughts about what I have done in other agencies and just consider them for this agency. One of the areas that I'd like to highlight for you is I've had conversations most recently with Elias and Public Works, and we're looking to bring Park Services back to our department. And that is, I think, an important element for our department. I've always been within an organization that Park Services was part of Community Services. It's vital to me, and Chris and I haven't had a lot of chance to talk, but it's important that the organization that maintains the grounds that the recreation folks use, we're all on the same page. I said when we had a little meeting with this team a week or so ago, I know the Park Services teams very well, and they kind of get a kick out of it. I says, what you guys do, guys and gals do in Park Services, is you make the facilities shine and look great. And if you had your druthers, you'd like nobody to be on the parks because they look great. But what happens is recreation gets involved and they screw them up and get them all messed up, and then you got to fix them again. But all in all, that's how the hand in glove works in this environment. And I think I'm really delighted to move this forward. I know it's going to be coming through the budget process, so I'm hopeful that's able to finish its way through. And officially will be coming over to our department, if all approved, at the fiscal year start. But in the meantime, Chris and I and the management team will be working on transition plans and bringing the division back home. Thought you'd be happy to hear that.
Great news.
Yeah.
Great news.
So that's the end of my report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any.
No questions. Thank you. Okay, we're moving right along tonight. And commissioner comments. Commissioner Smolnak, Julie.
I'd just like to say I'm so glad that we're back to meeting in person. I mean, been 2 years since we've been here and meeting over Zoom, so I'm glad that we're all back together and we can get some stuff done. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Lubes, Dave.
Welcome. Congratulations, welcome.
Thank you. Vice Chairperson Davis, Lee.
I just want to thank staff. I understand it's been very challenging, especially with aquatics. It's disappointing to know that things that happened in the past weren't done right, and I really appreciate all you're doing to try to get it back on track, because it's got a lot of, it's not a linear approach. You have to go through a lot of different stuff, and that was how we got it done in the first place. And I just want to thank you. I'm so disappointed about how it went down, and to not know it until 3 years later is very difficult. And Mr. Jones walking in, in your first week, you're just like, the what, huh? Yeah. So, yeah, good. Thank you. And thanks to everyone. I mean, Elias, even though he's gone, I know that everyone's been working hard and it's difficult. I appreciate the success criteria. I think we've got a little ways to go, but I think hopefully once we're back up and running, everybody jumps right back in and starts where they left off. Anyway, that's what I got. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Again, being back here I think our last meeting in this room was February 19th of 2020. And it's good to be back here. And it's good to see your faces without masks or... And staff, thank you for all you've done and keeping it running. So with that, thank you. We'll adjourn to the next regular meeting on Wednesday, May 18th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.